Thank you for turning to page 121. We're going to jump into Ars Arcana again, and we're going to look at Mordenkainen's Disjunction. Disjunction junction, what's your function? Wow, it's an alteration enchantment spell. This is a spell to use with extreme caution. Level 9, range is 0, duration's permanent, area of effect 30-foot radius, verbal component only, casting time 9 segments, saving throw special. When this spell is cast, all magic and or magic items within the radius of the spell, except those on the person of or being touched by the spellcaster, are disjoined. That is, spells being cast are separated into their individual components, usually spoiling the effect as dispel magic does, and permanent. And magic items must likewise save versus spell if actually cast on a creature, or versus dispel magic otherwise, or be turned into normal items. Even artifacts and relics are subject to Mordenkainen's disjunction, although there is only a 1% chance per level of the spellcaster of actually affecting such powerful items. Thus all potions, scrolls, rings, rods et al., miscellaneous magic items, artifacts and relics, arms and armor, swords and miscellaneous weapons within 30 foot of the spellcaster can possibly lose all their magical properties when Mordenkainen's disjunction is cast. Note, destroying artifacts is a dangerous business, 95% likely to attract the attention of some powerful being who has an interest in connection with the device. Additionally, if any artifact is destroyed, the casting magic user must save versus spell -4 or permanently lose all spellcasting abilities. As you may guess from those last couple of lines, my players have not been anxious to try to undo artifacts. I probably would allow it. It would really depend on the situation, and I've never had to make that choice, so I really don't know exactly how I'd respond, but it does bear thinking on. This spell is nasty. Back in still the mid-'80s, I was running a game, and Craig was playing. Craig had been playing with us at the club we used to be at. He was playing with us for years, and he had brought in one of his higher level thieves, and I was running some games with him. And then Craig joined our group in '87 at my home, and I decided, hey, I'm going to hit somebody with Mordenkainen's disjunction. Let's see what happens. Wow, did I screw up? Craig rolled atrociously, lost all his good stuff, held a couple of +1 swords or whatever, but he was, I think, a 17th level thief at the time, and he lost everything that made the character good. And I felt terrible. And I told him at the time, I said, you want to undo this? I don't want to ruin the character. He said, no. He'd been thinking about retiring the character anyway, so he just took that as an omen and it was time to retire the character. He never really got back to that character. He played him once or twice after that, but never really played him again. He lost all flavor for the character, and I understand that. I had a Cleric of Thor fail saving throw versus fear in a game on a natural 1. And I never really felt the same about the character again, because he literally was described by the DM, who was my wife, as running screaming from the room in terror. And I thought, well, Cleric of Thor, rather, that's not really his idiom. It kind of goes against his idiom. So he kind of got retired at that point. But yeah, be careful with this spell. It's great that your NPC bad guy can have it, which is what happened in the game I was running. Craig happened to be the only one nearby, because as a thief he'd snuck in, and for reasons in the story, they knew he was there, and I was able to cast the spell and get the spell off before he could do much of anything about it, and I ruined his character. So while I like this spell, I like it more if players are high enough to run it against the big bad evil guy than against my players. I learned my lesson, one and done on that one. I've never hit them again with this spell. But, hey, live and learn. That's what D&D's all about. As far as destroying artifacts, if this ever came up at my table, I probably would allow it to work. I probably would give the 1% chance. So if it's, say, an 18th level magic user, lowest level to cast this, and he had to throw 18% or less in order to destroy the item, and he rolled, 16, he would destroy the artifact at that point, and then I would do repercussions. I would not, if he failed his saving throw versus -4, I would not permanently have him lose all spellcasting abilities. That's way too harsh a penalty for somebody who's casting an offensive spell. It's just nothing I like. I wouldn't do that. I would put some other penalty on him. Maybe he's bedridden for 3 weeks, 6 weeks. Maybe he loses some spells he has to rememorize, or maybe he loses all his spells and he has to rememorize every spell. And as you know, in first edition, that can take a very long time. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but I would never take away the spellcasting ability permanently. I think it's too harsh a penalty. But there you have it, Mordenkainen's Disjunction, a really nasty spell. Don't use it lightly. Don't use it on your players if you like your players. But let me know. Let me know if you've used the spell or ever seen it used, and maybe it should be used. I don't know. It's not anything I'm bringing back anytime soon. Just ask Craig. And Craig, if you're watching, sorry, man. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for your time. Please take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. Like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Tell your friends to keep growing the channel. And that's it. I'll see you next time on page 121.